Hi, this is Mike Cardus. Recently, I was working with a bunch of new managers and we're doing some management training. And I was talking about running team meetings with the assumption that the individuals in the room had experience and a good template for running team meetings. Turns out they didn't. Yeah. Many managers and people in groups don't have a good way to run a team meeting and don't understand some of the basics. So I developed this simple checklist that walks through how to run a project team meeting. And here it is. So what you'll recognize is this is a simple checklist that you can utilize in your work or in your meetings to help you run better meetings. We can't avoid them. Some folks hate meetings, some folks like them, but overall, they're part of working life. So the beginning piece to think about is literally posting the agenda where people can see it. If you're using a virtual format, put the agenda up on a shared screen or utilize it as a slide like I have here. Use flip chart paper to keep the group focused and to create a single agreed upon record. Share the information. If you can use on virtual teams, you can use things like Google Docs, a shared format to identify where are we on the agenda, what's being discussed, where do we focus our time. Create an asides or parking lot for ideas or discussions that come up but aren't appropriate to the agenda today. You've been there. There is the person that always pulls tangents or identifies areas that are not part of the meeting. Create an area to document those things, put them in place. Next part, dispense with each agenda item in one of three ways, right? So if the agenda item is required to make a decision in the meeting, you make a decision. Delegate it until further study. We need more research on that, more work. What do we do next? Put it on the next meeting agenda. Be careful of this because sometimes things keep rolling, but if it has to move to the next meeting agenda, cool, move it there. Take issue off the agenda altogether. Be removed. So think about it in one of these ways. Make a decision, check, decision made, document it. Delegate it for further study. Mike, research that further, come back to us, update on that. Check, action completed. Put it on the next meeting agenda. Awesome. Take issues off the agenda. Good. Keep a record of the following things. Taking notes, key points that are made. What are the key points? What are the decision points? How are they made? How are they not made? Action items. What has to be done? Persons responsible for each action item. Make sure that you have a what by when, you have a who next to that. If you task someone to accomplish something in the meeting or someone agrees to do something in the meeting, document it for next meeting. Completion date for the actions. That's what by whens. Flip chart tips. Really simple stuff here. Use the speaker's own words. Don't pontificate. Don't intermediate your language. If somebody says something, type it in the way they said it. Or if you're taking notes on a flip chart for your team meeting, write it how people said it. Write legibly. That's tough for some of us. If you ever see my handwriting, it is horrible, but do your best to write where folks can see it. That's why I prefer using an online format, Google Docs, or a shared format. Makes it easier to read. Summarize long ideas in the own person's word, make them easy to understand, right? Number pages and post the pages on the wall. So think about this piece. At the end, you have to evaluate your meeting. Was it good? Was it bad? Did it suck? Do you want to do more meetings? There's two ways to do this, right? Comment on the value of the meeting. Ask each person to share what was useful about this meeting, how we can make it better next time. Plus and deltas. At the end of the meeting, ask, what was good about this meeting or valuable to you? How can we make it better next time? Take those notes, share them. The final part on this is a really important thing. The most important part is following up. So you've had your team meeting, you went through the ideas that I shared. Now you got to follow up, right? Because as a team leader or as a manager, following up is your job. So what you do is this. You create and distribute a short written record that includes the following. When we met, what the intent of the meeting was, who was there. Make sure you list when, the intention, who was at the meeting. Key points covered. Based upon those decisions in your agenda, what key points were covered in the meeting? Decisions made. If a decision is made, document it in a meeting minutes. Action items. What was discussed? What was brought up? Persons responsible for action items. Who is doing what by when? What's a quality expectation? Completion date for actions. What's the expected completion date? Also, identify how to incorporate participant feedback you received from the meeting and incorporate it in your next meeting and just simply do it. At the core of all this stuff, if you follow these simple items on this checklist here and you hit your follow-up pieces, then your meetings will be more effective. Thinking about a meeting like this, your team members and you have to have a structure to stand on in order to be creative. The more solid and pliant that structure is, the more creative and the more ideas can come from the meeting by people sharing their process. Your job as a manager, team lead, whatever you a facilitator, whatever you want to call yourself, is to create the structure and the system for the meeting to happen. And to ensure that as decisions are made, actions are approved or suggested, or research is asked, it's documented, and folks know what they're supposed to do before the next meeting. Again, I'm Mike Cardus from Organization Development by Mike Cardus. Reach out to me, contact me about how to make your meetings better. Thanks.